weekend. Well, brand new information about the 30 teenagers who escaped a detention center in Tennessee. At this hour, 7 are still on the run. This morning, we are just learning how they managed to exactly get away. Joining us to discuss is retired police lieutenant Richard Lichten. Good morning, Lieutenant. We thank you for being with us here. Let me just start with the obvious. How does something like this happen? It's a large number of individuals, young, but those with up to 3 felonies gone.
Right. Well, actually, things like this have happened in the past. I've actually worked a number of jails, one jail where they had a number of people get away. And what happens is 2 things. You have a human failure and you have a mechanical failure. Now, from what I've learned about this particular escape, and I don't think I'm wrong, the fence that they got out from underneath, when you have a correctional facility, you dig a moat or a trench, you fill it with cement, and you set the fence line into the cement, so that can't happen. So what happens sometimes is you'll have builders who have a disconnect with the security end of it, and they don't realize what they're doing. That's not right. And they don't consider some of the ramifications of some of the building that they're doing. And then, of course, you have the human failure. For instance, how often were these things checked? What type of patrols do they have? What are their plans and procedures to prevent these things? There's a whole litany of things that can go wrong.
Is this a budget issue? Is this a money issue?
Well, good security costs money. Money is always an issue, always. But nothing takes the place of good intelligence. And when you have a staff that's constantly searching the inmates, going through their stuff and looking at the papers and finding different things and gaining intelligence and simply talking to the inmates and building a relationship with them, sometimes they'll tell you things, and there's a lot of history about that. Sometimes they might say something that might clue you in that, hey, something's going to happen.
Do you have an example of that, why talking to them is so important?
Sure. Do you remember back a long time ago the New Mexico state riot, the New Mexico prison riot where all those people were killed?
Of course.
The day before, a civilian librarian, a private librarian that goes into the jail to work, she had a relationship with the inmates. And one of the inmates took her aside and said, listen, Miss So-and-so, tomorrow you need to call in sick. Don't come to work. And then I don't recall if she told somebody about that, but that's an example of what I'm talking about. Sometimes inmates and prisoners will talk to you and talk to the staff and tell them things to help prevent these types of things. That does happen sometimes.
Yeah, that's interesting here. You know, we keep hearing kids escaped. What do we need to know? The 7 that are still at large, how dangerous are they? Who are we dealing with?
Well, I don't know what kind of policies, rules, and procedures this particular institution has, but if these kids are dangerous, they ought to let the public know exactly who these people are, what their crimes are, what they're capable of, and so the public can protect themselves. And, of course, the jail and the prison have to work in partnership up with the local police as well as the community, social media, get the word out. Most of the time, people that escape from jails and prisons, most of the time, they're captured very quickly. Most of the time. It's rare that somebody gets away and is never found. But it's during that time that things get pretty hairy.
Sure, a window to possibly commit more crimes is certainly there. Lieutenant Lichten, we want to thank you for being with us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.